Is manifestation wrong? No. But we must recognize that whatever we may try and manifest, whatever efforts we make, whatever sacrifices also we make, they are made possible by the grace of Ishvara. Think about it, however hard we may work, have we sown the seeds that become the food we eat? Have we picked the cotton that become the clothes we wear? Have we even cooked our own food or washed our own clothes? No. There is an ecosystem that is in place that makes all of our efforts, all of our results possible. Good things take time. Have you ever wondered why, even thousands of years after it was spoken, the Bhagavad Gita is still relevant today? Civilizations have come, civilizations have gone. Bharat has evolved, our boundaries have changed. But the messages of the Bhagavad Gita still remain relevant. Why? It's because the Bhagavad Gita touches on the essential nature of us, which never changes. Namaste, my name is Dhumatkar, and on this series, we are studying what is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. Not just the meaning of the verses, but how we can apply it in our lives. So if this is of interest to you, subscribe to the channel now itself and join us every week for more wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. One of the fundamental qualities of us as humans is that we lack patience. Everything needs to be instant. Everything needs to happen now. Instant weight loss, instant noodles. But the law of nature is such that good things take time. You plant a seed. It takes a long time for the tree to grow and then give fruits, which will then give us new seeds. Why? Because we need that time to develop the inner infrastructure, the patience, the emotional capability to deal with what will eventually come. Why is it that lottery winners lose most of their earnings in the first 2 years? It's because they might have a lot, but they lack the emotional capability to deal with it. Bhagwan recognizes this when he says, Kangshatah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. They who long for satisfactions from actions in this world make sacrifices, undertake yajna to the devatas, because satisfaction is quickly obtained from actions in the world of objects. In Bhagwan's words, we recognize that the need for instant noodles, instant weight loss, instant delivery is not a new thing. From time immemorial, people have been asking for things to be manifested instantly. This is such a beautiful verse because there are so many layers to the language that Bhagwan uses. Kankshanta, those who have akanksha or expectation. Karmanam siddhim, expectation of what? To realize the fruits of their actions. Now, karmana is very interesting because karma is not just the actions that we do, but the specific types of worship that were given to us in the Vedas in the section that is known as Karma Kand. So Bhagwan follows up this karma by saying yajanta iha devataha, by performing these yajnas for the divine natural energies, not for Bhagwan, but for the deities or the heads of department that regulate functioning of this universe. So the functioning of rain and prosperity is regulated by Indra. The functioning of the movement of air is regulated by Vayu. The functioning of water is regulated by Varuna. The functioning of justice and order is regulated by Yama. And these divine heads of department are able to manifest in this world whatever is in their realm. And Bhagwan says those who want instant results pray to these natural orders. Why do they do this? Because results are obtained quickly. But this satisfaction, when obtained, does it last? How many of us get exactly what we want and even the next day are thinking, I wish I had that other thing. Or for a week we enjoy it and then our mind starts to think of the upgrade. Bhagwan tells us, don't attach ourselves to these limited manifestations. What we should do is attach ourselves to the source of those manifestations, which is Bhagwan himself. So by this argument, is manifestation wrong? No. But we must recognize that whatever we may try and manifest, whatever efforts we make, whatever sacrifices also we make, they are made possible by the grace of Ishvara. Think about it, however hard we may work, have we sown the seeds that become the food we eat? Have we picked the cotton that become the clothes we wear? Have we even cooked our own food or washed our own clothes? No. There is an ecosystem that is in place that makes all of our efforts, all of our results possible. Bhagwan says, do your efforts, but focus on what is the source. As that source, what is it that Ishvara wants? Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti mam yo bhijanati karma bhirna sabadhyate. Actions do not taint me, nor I have any desire for the fruits of actions. He who knows me thus is not bound by his actions. Now this verse we had discussed in the previous video. So if you want a more detailed, direct translation, please go back and watch it. It will give greater clarity on the flow of the Bhagavad Gita. But for now, there's a beautiful katha, a beautiful story of Bhagwan Shiva that illustrates this very concept. Now, before I launch into the story, it's worth remembering that this same katha appears in different Puranas with different details. The key is not to get fixated on what is the story. The key is to really understand what is the learning and extract that learning for our benefit. In the Daruka forest, there lived a community of seekers, and these community of seekers would perform yajna every day. Why? Because through the process of yajna, they would understand what they need to do to manifest what is it that they want. Also, their mindset was such that if we perform yajna, which is prescribed in the Vedas, then we will earn punya or merit. And as a result of this punya, we will enjoy time in Swarga, heavenly realms themselves. And when our punya finishes, we'll be able to come back on earth and we will perform yajna again and then go back to heaven. So in this way, they were in a cyclical loop of yajna, heaven and return to earth. Now over time, these communities became extremely arrogant, because they believed that they had found the tool of manifesting any and everything they wanted. And because they had this tool, they believed that they were the creators of the world and they would walk this world as if they owned it, that they had complete control over all living beings that were there. The whole land, the whole creation was theirs and theirs alone, and not to share with anyone. Sounds familiar? It's very much like humans today who believe that this entire planet is ours. And so, to destroy their ego, Bhagwan Shiva appeared one day just as they were beginning preparation for their yajna. And how did Bhagwan Shiva appear? He came in his lustrous, most beautiful form. Karpura Gauram Karunavataram, white as camphor mode. He came as a Digambara, sky clad. The entire sky was his dress, which in this case means that he was completely without clothes. And seeing this beautiful form of Shiva suddenly appear, what happened? Well, it so happened that the wives and daughters of all these Panditas became completely enamored with Shiva. And at first they were stealing glances, saying, who is this being? Then they were staring unabashedly. And then after some time, losing all sense of propriety, they stood up and started to follow Shiva. Now, the Panditas were so arrogant with their own abilities, were so angry at this, that using their manifestation powers, they created a tiger that emerged from the fire and leapt at Shiva. But Bhagwan is Pashupati. He is the Lord of all beings. Immediately, he transformed the tiger only into the tiger's skin and wore that skin around his waist. And even today, when we look at an image of Shiva, he is wearing a tiger's skin around his waist. Then they manifested a terrible, angry elephant who leapt out of the flames at Shiva. Bhagwan took the hide of this elephant and wrapped it around his upper body. And finally, these Panditas, combining all of their individual capabilities, manifested a demon from the fire, which had a demonic face, but the body of a child, rushed at Bhagwan to try and crush him. But Bhagwan simply overpowered this demon, stood on his back and performed the Tandav, the great cosmic dance of creation, such that the demon, which represented ignorance, was not killed but overpowered by supreme knowledge. What was this knowledge that the Panditas needed to have? They needed to learn that this creation is cyclical, which was represented by the ring of fire that surrounded Bhagwan. In that cyclical creation, ignorance is always overcome by knowledge, as Bhagwan's resting foot on top of Apasmara shows us. In that creation, even though everything else is moving, Bhagwan's jatas are flowing, the fire is burning, the drumru is drumming, but Bhagwan himself is serene and completely at peace. This beautiful, incomparable image of Bhagwan shows us that in the entire moving creation of which we are part, there is only one thing that is still, and that is the divine. And that thing alone is worth seeking. And what do you get for the one that seeks? As it is said in this verse, Itimam yo bhi janati karma bhirna sabadhyate, is not bound, is not tied by his karma. An interesting development of this idea occurred eons later, where Maharishi Patanjali and Vyagrapad, another great rishi, wanted to witness this beautiful form of Bhagwan. And so they meditated in the forests of what is now southern India for a long period of time, entreating Bhagwan to come and perform this Ananda Tandava. And Bhagwan did not disappoint. He came and he performed this Tandava, such that the place where he performed this Tandava became known as Chidambaram. Chid stands for consciousness, Ambaram stands for sky. This place, Chidambaram, that exists even today, is described as the place where our own consciousness expands as large as the sky itself, which is all-encompassing. So we become connected with this divine, expansive consciousness at Chidambaram. In fact, even today when we go to Chidambaram, there is what's known as Chidambaram Rahasya, the secret of Chidambaram, the secret consciousness and capability that we can gain with the right sadhana and connection. Why are we going into so much detail? It is to illustrate that the Bhagavad Gita and all of our other bodies of texts are not different. Of course, there may be differences in stories, but the messages are the same. Whichever Puran, whichever Katha, whichever Lok Geet, or even if it is the Geet of Bhagwan himself, the Bhagavad Gita, tells us the exact same message. In the Bhagavad Gita, in a recent video, we have explained how Bhagwan says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever dharma becomes glanir, seems like it's there, but is not actually there. Looks like it's there, but is in a coma. There, I will come. This is not just Bhagwan Shri Krishna's promise. This is Bhagwan's promise, who manifests as Bhagwan Vishnu, as Bhagwan Shiva, as Bhagwan Ganesha, as Devi Ma, as Skand, as Surya. And in this case, as Bhagwan Shri Krishna manifests in all these forms based on our needs. The only question is, will we call on Him? And so today's video really gives us the opportunity to consider, are we performing sacrifices in our own lives with the intention of gaining something, or with the intention to connecting to that source that is the source of everything? If this video resonated with you, then please share it with as many friends and family as possible, so that this wonderful, expansive message of the Bhagavad Gita can reach as many people as possible. If you want to hear more, please subscribe. My promise is that we will keep coming back every week, bringing more and more wisdom from our beloved Bhagavad Gita. My name is Om Dhumatkar. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you again very, very soon. Namaste.